Hello and welcome back to the concluding part of our web page. In this CSS video, I will be showing you how we can add a style to our web page and also how we are going to be using CSS variables to reference all our colors. So now I'll go back into my VS Code and I'll go into my CSS folder here and I'm going to start styling. So now I'm going to add a general selector, which is the global selector. I'm going to add the margin as 0. I do not want any margin until I declared. So, and also the padding too should go to 0. I'm just trying to set all of this into default. So automatically I want all my elements to have a box. So I'm going to have a box sizing of border box, and also I don't want any text decoration inside of my web page. So now text decoration 0. Or I should just say none. Okay, so now to use the CSS variable, you have to declare a root. So inside of your root, that is where you're going to place all the colors that you're going to be using on your website, on your web page. So now I'm going to create firstly a primary color, which is going to serve as the background color of my web page. So I'm going to add a color code here of F4, which is just like a light gray. So here, after declaring my first variable, which is the primary color, and this primary color is going to serve as the background for the container. So now I'm going to declare also the text color, which is going to have this very color code. I'll just say text color, and it's going to have 57636, if I'm right. Okay, so now I'm going to have the third one, which is the button color. Also, you can as well use any color that you like, but for the reference of this very lesson, I'll be using these color codes. So now let me add the third code, which is this 8385. Okay, yeah, if I'm right. To be having a general white too, I'll just do G white. So white is just going to be the FFF. Okay, so now we have our variables. So anyway, I'm going to be using all these colors. I'm just going to be declaring the var, which is the CSS variables. So firstly, I'll be grabbing all these elements in the HTML one by one. So firstly, I'm going to be grabbing this body tag. So pretty much there's nothing on the body, so I'm just going to display it to come to the center. So I'm just going to say body display flex. Okay, justify content to the center, and also align item, just to be sure that this thing is going to come to the middle. Okay, so we are going to be declaring our minimum height so that we'll be able to see our content of 100 view height. Okay, so now let's save this and refresh our page if we have. Okay, so after declaring a style for the body, I'm just going to refresh the page and see if it applies the style. Okay, so I think I've not linked my CSS inside of the HTML, so let me quickly do that. Okay, style.css. okay, I've saved that. Okay, so firstly I'm going to be grabbing this container here. So I will just declare a class of container. Container. Okay, this should be a class of container. Okay, so I'm going to be displaying So firstly, I'm going to be grabbing this container that is here. So I'll just declare a class of container and give it a width of 320 px. Okay, so let's refresh our page and see if the styles are working. Alright, so we have this very web page in the middle. So now I'll be creating the mobile view of this web page first before I go to the web view of it. Okay, so I'm going to run this. Alright, so I think I have a width of 320 px. So let me just go back to my container and give it a background. So to reference this CSS variable, you just declare a var and say primary color. Okay, so let's save that and see if it applies. Okay, so the color wasn't applying to this web page because I think the F4 is too light. So I'll just reduce the primary color here to like CCC so that we can see the actual width that we declared for that container. Okay, so now we have the gray background. So the next thing for me to do is to take this image and let it fit in with this very width that is here. So I'm just going to declare a width for this very image too and give it a margin from the top. Okay, so now let's go back to our file and say container. Okay, container image. So the container image should take the same width as the container. Okay, so I'm just going to add this code of object fit cover. So it's going to take the space. I'm going to add a margin from the top of the image. Okay, by 30 px. Okay, and I'll save that. So if I go back to my browser here and I load this page, so we have the image in between the container. Okay, so now this container, I'm going to add a padding from the top and bottom and also add a height for it so that all this element that is inside of it will be able to justify, to be able to sit inside of it. So I'll just go back to my estimate file and say inside of my container I have a padding from the top and bottom of 20 px. From the left and right I do not want anything, I just want 0 px. Okay, so I'm just going to have this position of container as relative. So anything we are going to be displaying inside of it is going to be absolute to what is in there. So now let's add a border radius of like 10 px. Border radius of 10 px. Okay, so I think that is that for the container. So the next thing we are going to be touching now is the details. I just want to go over this real quick. The details. So the details should have a padding also. Padding, total padding of 20 px from the top, left, right, and bottom 20 px. Okay, so now I'm going to grab the h3 of the details too. Dot details h3. Okay, so I'm going to give it a font size of 22 px and also a font weight of like 400 px. Okay, so also I'm going to just reference a color for it here by saying I already declared a text color, so I'm just going to pick that from our roots. Okay, so now I'm going to add a line height too. A line height of 32 px is enough. Okay, then I'll save that. So let's check our browser and see how our web page is loading. Okay, so I think we are moving forward. Okay, so I think this very details is not taking the padding of 20 px. So let's go back to our estimate file and see if we are right. I think this is details. Okay. All right. Okay, so now if we refresh our web page, this should have been corrected. Okay, so now the next thing is to style this button that is here. So I'm just going to go back to my estimate file and say details button. Okay, so now instead of the details button, I'm going to be having a padding from the top and bottom of 10px, from the left and right of 20px. So to have a space between this very button and my h3, I'm going to add a margin from the top by saying 20px. Okay, so now I'm going to add a border of 0, because automatically your button is going to come with a border, so we do not want the border. So now font weight of like 800 is okay. Okay, so now the next thing is to add a border radius of like 5px is enough. Okay, border radius of like 5px is enough. Okay, so after this font width, I'm just going to add a font size of like 18px should be enough. Okay, so I'll just reference the background color of a background color. Okay, a background color, I'll use the var keyword. I already declare a button color for this, so I'm just going to save this and refresh my page and see if my button has changed. Okay, so I think the border radius is not there, and also the color of this very button has to change. So going back here, I'll just change the color to the general white. So I have a var of general white. Okay, so also a border radius should do. A border radius of 5px should be enough. Okay, so let me save this and refresh the page and see if it works. Yes, I think we have the web page. So now in the next video, I'll be showing you how you can change this background by using this checkbox that is here, and also how you can change the color of this button. So I'll see you in the next video.